it to me was the key that opened the lock. And so I think I had already learned to use fasting as a healing tool. I loved and felt so good when I was in my fast, but then when I was back to eating, that's when I would lose control. And so that's where carnivore came in, because I tended to not have overeat and have binging with carnivore foods. It changed that for me. So for me, it was like the doors open and the light came through the clouds, like, oh man, now I can fast really, really well.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Carnivore Revolution. I'm Serena, and my guest today is Emily Harvo. Emily is Healed by Meat on Instagram, and Emily and I are friends. We have known each other for probably close to 2 years now. Emily is an expert faster. She is a weight loss coach and basically a celebrity in the carnivore world, if you ask me. Thank you for joining me, Emily.
I think you're a celebrity.
I
Love
wish. No,
you.
I'm just kidding. Love you. So let's talk about your story, because I think your story is so inspiring. And I think the more people that hear it, the more people we can bring into this just amazing way of life and eating that we have found.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had struggled with weight, mood, energy my entire life, and my turnaround came from fasting. Fasting and keto was what started the tools that would be the forever tools for me, because I'd tried so many different things. I'd had a big history in childhood of neglect, abuse, all kinds of things that kind of set me up for looking for fixes and comforts, and food was my stability. And my family members that were in the church were all had the carbs and fats, and it just kind of set that hook really early. And I mean, the standard American diet, standard atrocious diet is out there as well. So I definitely had struggles from the time I think I was about 8, when the doctor was like telling my mom she needs to really watch that greasy food. And so just hearing like somebody talk about that in front of me, and just like feeling chubby, feeling like I have these chubby I remember being in my cousin's wedding and my little fat pockets were bulging. My cousins weren't. And I was like, "Arr." So I just had, it's always kind of the chubby friend in high school. And I just had that weight struggle my entire life, but had done lots of different calorie restriction diets that had, fixed it temporarily, but it was never a long-term fix. So by the time I had gotten into my mid 40s, I was had been at 300 pounds several times, was in a size 3X, size 26, having a hard time getting around. And so I had 4 babies, and a lot of the weight gain happened throughout when I was ages 31 to 41 with having kiddos. And I just wanted to be healthy for them and have energy for them. I was really fortunate that a friend reached out and told me about fasting in Dr. Fung's book. And so that set me on a success path with fasting and ketogenic diet. And so I did a lot of different types of fasts. So my first several years, losing weight, because I've lost a large amount of weight. I'm basically half my size. I had started around 300, and I'm around 150s, 160s right now. And so a huge weight loss before, after, huge transformation, and fasting was the key component that got me started. But carnivore was like the win, was like the finisher. So the last 50 pounds was when I was getting very involved with combining carnivore with fasting. So I've been a carnivore now for about 2.5 years. And I was in that journey when you and I met, actually. And so I was kind of coming down into that losing that last bit. And that was when you were doing that lion diet. And so I was doing a lion diet, but I was also combining alternate day fast with it. And I burnt myself out a little bit. So you kind of have to be aware. Like, I've learned so much lately about how a nourished fast feels, and how a healthy fast feels, and how a fast feels when your hormones are happy. Because all of this is about happy hormones. That's why carnivore works so well. That's why fasting works so well. That's why a low carb or a ketogenic approach will work so well, is it restores your hormones. But to me, carnivore especially, because you're not wasting time on anything that doesn't have nourishment. Everything you eat when you're on 100% carnivore diet is serving multiple roles. It's giving you energy, it's giving you structures that you need for your body, and it's giving you nutrients. And so it's, to me, it's like a condensed, power-packed kind of a diet. So yeah, I just absolutely love it. So, I've had a big weight loss story with it, but it's also really helped me in mood, energy, sleep, mom life in general, activities, just keeping up with the family, and just feeling good and having an overall positive outlook. It has really, really helped me with that as well.
And I wanted to talk about Nourish fasting for a minute since you mentioned that. My story back at the beginning. I was having a hard time. It was a couple of months in when I started. Fasting is so big in this community with so many people. And so you hear about that like right off the bat. You're like, oh, okay, so fasting is easy when you're a carnivore. And so you kind of jump into that. And I thought I was doing it right. I was doing the alternate day fasting, like you just mentioned, along with carnivore. And I wasn't eating enough. I was not nourished. I did not have nourished fast. I was not eating enough. So on the days that I was eating, which was like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, I might have eaten a little bit more, but Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I was eating 2 hamburger patties with a little bit of butter and cheese, perhaps. And that was it. And I gained 18 pounds. So don't do what I did. If you're going to become a carnivore and you're going to be fasting, make sure your fasts are nourished. Make sure you eat enough in between. When I tried to eat enough, it didn't work for me because it reminded me of binging.
Oh.
And that was something that I just couldn't mess with. And I think that's why I ate so little. So in the beginning, it was really hard for me until I was healed. And I have now started fasting again. I feel great. It's going really well. And I don't have that tendency to overeat. I kind of pay attention to what I'm eating on my eating days because I don't want to overdo it, but it's really hard for me because I want to underdo it even still. Did you have that problem? Because you came from kind of the same kind of background I did, as far as the way that we used to eat with the binging and things like that. Did you ever have a hard time with the feasting before you fast?
It was a welcome message for me because I had such the background of restriction. And so when I heard the concepts of priming and feasting, it to me was the key that opened the lock. And so I think I had already learned to use fasting as a healing tool. I loved and felt so good when I was in my fast, but then when I was back to eating, that's when I would lose control. And so that's where carnivore came in because I tended to not have overeat and have binging with carnivore foods. It changed that for me. So for me, it was like the doors open and the light came through the clouds, like, oh man, now I can fast really, really well. And so I became so passionate about it. I started teaching this methodology, very shortly after. And, with Raymond, we wrote a program on it. And, so I still feel like that. I'm still very involved in the fasting communities. And so, every new fasting book that comes out, I'm all over it. Hormone fasting, this fasting, that fasting. And I read them. I'm just like, yeah, but they don't know about priming. And yeah, but they don't know about feasting. And so, but I agree that it's absolutely can be an issue for people. It hasn't been an issue for me, personally. So for me, it was the key. Getting enough during that feasting period. And some of the things that you can work on too is if you're doing an alternate day fast, is when your first meal doesn't have to be a huge meal. We had Mindy come and teach with our community, and Mindy Pels, and she was kind of saying that make that first meal, at least your 30 grams of protein. Not that we're tracking, you kind of get an idea for what that's going to be to re-stimulate that muscle lay down, because during the fast, you got a boost in human growth hormone and you're ready to lay down some serious muscle. So then you bring in 30 grams of animal protein, like the body's ready. You've got, your stimulus from your exercise that you're doing. And so you can take, like on your up day, on an alternate day fast, you can eat maybe several small meals to make sure that you're getting more in, definitely more than 2 hamburger patties. But your body can take the lead on that too. So I do appreciate that on carnivore. For me, I really will choose the intuitive road, and it has worked for me so far, and it's worked for a lot of people that I've coached and worked with. And so we do try to bring that part into it, but for sure there's tweaks that you can do on the journey. I think I would probably recommend, if you were ever going to try an alternate day fast again, to give that a shot, to like try eating 2 to 3 smaller when is your classic up day, and then on your fast day you're just fasting.
Well, what I've been doing recently is alternate day fasting. And on the days that I'm eating in like more like a 4 hour window because I need to be sure that I get enough food. And I think that's the
Perfect.
key,
Love it.
especially for women. They have a hard time. Just looks like so much food, and that's hard sometimes for us.
Agreed. Agreed.
Um, I think you kind of struck a nerve there, and hopefully for the viewers, on being in your 40s and having such a hard time getting around. And I think one of the hard things for me, now that I know what works and now that I know what makes people feel better, is seeing the women at the grocery store that are your age and my age that are sometimes in one of the mobile carts because they can't get around. And the thing that strikes me the most is what's in their cart, because typically it's lots and lots of vegetables, lean chicken breast, lots of sugar-free items like diet foods. You can tell they're trying.
Yeah.
They just don't have the information. So what do you say to the women that are like you were, where you're having such a hard time and you're lost and you're doing all the things that everybody is telling you to do, that the doctors are telling you to do, that the media is telling you to do, and it's just not working?
All the things are just 100% straight up wrong. So all the things do not work, and it makes me angry because I see these women as well. I was this woman. And so the misinformation coming, from the guidelines down are infuriating. So if you look at the pyramid, you kind of want to flip the pyramid upside down, and that's a little bit more accurate of how we should be eating. So I just, would want these women to not fear fat, to not fear animal fat, to not fear butter, to not fear fatty meat. Fatty meat's the foundation. That's the basic at the bottom. And I really do, I'm so fortunate that I teach in a community where we emphasize priming. Priming is kind of this period of time where you are eating nutritional foods only, and you're just letting go of the restriction, because this lean meat, chicken breast, vegetable is all about restriction, and it's all about how, calories, like looking at calories. And so my encouragement would be whole foods, real foods, do not fear the fat, and let go of the restriction and dieting mindset and get more into a healthy lifestyle mindset. And then of course, for you and I too, we just realize the importance of community. And so just, making those connections, whether it's a friend, a buddy that's doing it with you, whether you're kind of immersing yourself in YouTube, encouraging videos, or joining actual communities, because we have so many cool communities in the carnivore space specifically. I'm sure there's plenty in the other dietary spaces, but to me, I think that community and having a friend part is so important. And just to go gentle, when I was my fattest, I was over exercising, I was under eating, I was restricting, I was over fasting. That's a thing, and so I would definitely, if they were going to incorporate fasting, I would want to have a little heart to heart with them and let them know, fasting is for when you're feeling really good. If you're getting all of these symptoms of, anxiety and indigestion, and you can't sleep, and you're, all these things, like those are not features of a healthy fast. And so fasting, I think you just need to have that nourishment first and be very gentle. No reason to go crazy on the weights. You don't need to do very much to keep your metabolism going, and patience. It just takes a lot of time to undo, when you have decades of abusing your body and of eating the wrong kinds of foods that have gotten your insulin all jacked up. It just takes a lot of time to reverse that. And so to be patient, it took me 4 years, Serena, 4 years. And I'm still in maintenance. I'm still learning it. I'm still have a little stuff that I'm like figuring out. So I think that just becoming that lifelong learner and being open to questioning the standard advice that's given.
Did you hear that, ladies? When she was at her heaviest, when she was the most overweight, she was under eating and over exercising. You guys need to remember that, because that is huge. And it was the same way for me. I was 30 pounds up, but I was under eating and not able to lose the weight. So now, how do you recommend that people get started with fasting if that's something that people want to do? Not in the beginning, of course, because we want you to get nourished, right? 3 meals a day in the beginning of carnivore, get your body fixed, get your hormones fixed. And then what do you say? How do people start fasting?
Yeah, I love a stair step approach. And I think any good fasting instructor will do that. And I've seen that in any book that I, pick up that I have any respect for. You start small. And so, you might start with a 16-8. I know that that's a comfortable spot for you. Fairly quickly, I think you should try some challenge days. And so I like a model, even if it's an alternate day fast model, for example, if you would try an OMAD Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that would be a baby step into fasting. And so my biggest thing is get your nutrition right. Sleep's kind of a big deal too, getting your sleep on point as much as you can to be really working on that and your relaxation. View the fast as a healing modality, and just getting your mindset in about it is, and your body's cooperating, your body's feeling good, that it's a really good chance to reset, recommit to do things that you don't normally take time to do. And stair step small. And, for sure, reach out to me. And we've got a wonderful program written that has all the calendars and all that, help and support and meetings and calls and things like that. So join a supportive network to help you in that. Because I do think if you're just willy-nilly fasting on your own, like, oh, do I feel like fasting? Well, I think that a measured, planned approach is going to yield better results over time, because we just know that the whole game is about consistency. And so the thing that irritates me is when someone identifies as a faster and they're like, yeah, I did a 5-day fast a couple of months ago. I'm like, hey, that was one fast. To me, fasting is getting a pattern that's repeatable, that's gentle enough, and yet still gives you a challenge. So stair stepping your way up is the way to go, and just paying attention to your body's signs and signals and making sure that, you're really feeling good while you're doing that. If you are not feeling good, there's probably something else that needs to be tweaked before you're ready to get back into fasting.
So what does a typical day of eating look like for you on a feasting day?
Oh, excellent question. They are different. My everyday is a little different. Well, let's see. So today I actually opened up my window with a carnivore bar. So these are a high fat tallow and beef product. And I had one that they were giving away samples at KetoCon. And so that was, I opened with that. And then today was burger patty day. I had burger patties that were already made up. So I had some pre-made burger patties, and I might be done for the day, but I might eat one more. So I am kind of in that zone that I was telling you about, where probably on my up days, I'm not eating once, I'm probably eating twice. And they're smaller meals, just kind of a normal smallish plate-sized meals. But my staple is beef. I eat steak from the freezer to the air fryer all the time. I get bulk steaks on sale and we shrink wrap them, and our freezer is ready to go. So beef is the foundation for me. And I do find for a lot of people that is the best for nutrient availability, absorption, and just kind of feeling better. And I think it's good for a nice fast. Beef is going to help sustain you during that fasting time really well.
And what is one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who is new to the carnivore diet?
I think you want to go with your joy. There are so many foods in the carnivore categories that are absolutely delightful. So just spoil yourself. So I think that, just be thinking, what are the things that I love the most? And so, get yourself the lobster or the shrimp or the scallops, or the sushi or the sashimi that you love. So I just think you should really pay attention to what sounds the best, because it can feel restrictive. And so you want to feel like you're having treats. And when I started, I actually did include a lot of variety too. So on my plate, I had different textures, different colors. I'd have, it's almost like a mini little hors d'oeuvre. And now I'm just as happy eating a bunch of burger patties or whatever. I don't think about it as much. But when I was first starting, little bits, and then, to use dairy, it's fine. Just use it as a small condiment, because there is just a lot of fun, delicious foods to getting started. And make sure you get that bacon going, because what a joy. Who is on a diet that gets to eat bacon? Like, we're so lucky.
I agree with everything you said 100%. Thank you so much, Emily, for spending time with me this evening. It is always such a joy.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time here on the Carnivore Revolution.